I would like to shout out Not Regular J on Instagram for sending me this story right here. I wish I had better pictures of these two right here, but these were the best two pictures that I could actually find of these two young ladies together. But their names are Ikuria Washington and Layla Temple, and both of them graduated high school with the two top honors that you can get in a school, which is valedictorian and salutatorian. Or so they did have those honors for a few days until it was snatched away from them thanks to some palm-colored parents who got upset that it was a miscalculation and there's no way that they actually got it and it belonged to their children. And guess what? The school actually held up their little complaint and snatched away their honors and gave it to the two white kids. And it's no surprise that this happened in Mississippi. Let me go ahead and get into this. And you want to know what's so crazy? I feel like I've come across a story like this before because it sounds very familiar. This is a Mississippi high school agreed to make two white students co-winners of top honors after their parents complained about the awarding of prizes to black pupils. So either they snatched it away from these two right here and gave it to the two white students, or they're making the two black students who won share it with the two white students, meaning they can't even bask in the glory of the valedictorian and salutatorian honors on their own. They just have to share the spotlight with them because there's just no way two black young ladies could have gotten this honor on their own merit. This goes back to that whole affirmative action BS. Where, especially when, because with white women, they the biggest benefactors of affirmative action. Remember that Weasley looking chick a couple years ago who was complaining that she couldn't get into that school and claimed that it was affirmative action that didn't get her in, but it was just the fact that her test scores were not as good as the other students, but she just couldn't believe that was the actual case, but she didn't want to actually believe that she was dumb as a bag of rocks. But anyway, let me go ahead and get into this. A Mississippi high school named two white students co-valedictorian and co-salutatorian, even though two black students had already been given those top honors several days prior, the New York Times reported. West Point High School students Ikuria Washington and Layla Temple, who are both black, were named valedictorian and salutatorian of their class during a senior award ceremony last week. However, the announcement didn't sit well with some families, and shortly after, the white parents of two students ended up raising complaints to the school that it did not properly calculate the criteria to determine the two designations. After reviewing the student handbook, West Point School District Superintendent Burnell McDonald announced there had been a mistake and breaking with long-standing tradition, named two other students who are both white as co-valedictorian and co-salutatorian. So you mean to tell me that y'all knew for several days, these two black girls, so you mean to tell me that you knew for several days that it was a mistake, quote unquote, and then you decide to go ahead and do this after some PC bitch decides to get up and complain, whining bitch, about two students, I don't know if those were her kids or not being able to have these honors, because there's just no way that two black girls could have been able to do it on their own. Now it's a miscalculation. And listen, these are the same group of people that love tradition, but they break condition when it involves two black students. McDonald, who was black, told Mississippi they had to make sure that the mention the person was black to kind of soften the blow. You Sambo, little whatever. Who was black, told Mississippi Today that the counselor who had calculated the grades was new to the school and given incorrect information about how to determine the designation. Washington and Temple had won based on the highest quality point average, but not on grade point average. Washington's family told the New York Times that the announcement caused their daughter to be upset and that they're considering suing. She had been crying. She thought it was going to be her night, Ikuria's mother, Angela Washington, told the Times. I could understand her being upset because you think that, wow, I got this high honor and everything like that, only to find out that it was a quote-unquote miscalculation. Like, can you imagine how embarrassed these girls had to be? Like, that's humiliation right there. On graduation night, all 4 students delivered their speeches. This is not the first time a school has raised questions around top academic designations. Earlier this year, a high school student in the small town of Alpine, Texas, took her school to court after claiming that the school did not rank her grades correctly. That's messed up. That is messed up. Like, this was a moment for them, and they was like, wow, we have it. Only for them to turn around and say, oh, you know what? By the way, we don't mean to rain on your parade, but there was a slight miscalculation with the tallies. And, y'all aren't the true valedictorian and salutatorian. But to soften the blow, we're going to allow you to be co-valedictorian and co-salutatorian with these 2 palm-colored kids over here. Because someone wanted to complain about it. And then you had the damn Sambo actually buckle and actually make it happen. I swear, black people can't have shit on their own without someone out of the Milk of Magnesia clan jumping into it and having something to say. This is why a lot of black people feel they always have to prove themselves in the eyes of the so-called dominant society because of shit like this. When we really don't have to be quite honest. If we want to prove anything, let's prove it to ourselves. Like, who are we trying to please out here? But I feel bad for the 2 girls, though, because I know they had to be embarrassed by that. Like, that, remember that, this almost as bad at the time when Steve Harvey named the wrong person for the Miss, what pageant was that? The Miss Universe or the whatever pageant it was? When he announced the wrong name. Kind of reminds me of that. Now they got to share it with other people. Now, how ironic that this complaint happens when it's 2 black girls or 2 black students, period, because it could have been 2 black boys. And then it's a problem. But I bet you there was if they didn't quote unquote miscalculate it and it was correct the first time, they wouldn't have made a complaint. Wow. That's crazy. They always want to talk about fairness and everything when it can benefit them. And I bet you the parent who complained wishes they could have snatched this entire thing away from them and just have it be their children. But they had to settle for the the sharing of the honor. Even though that honor is only supposed to be it's only supposed to be meant for one person. But they bend the knee and bend the rules when they throw a little tantrum. And I bet you it was some Karen that probably was upset. This just has Karen written all over. I'm not saying that Brad is out of the picture, but something just tells me Karen was leading the charge. That's just my strong hunch behind it. But I'm going to congratulate these 2 young ladies anyway. Congratulations, what are their names? Akiria Washington and Layla Temple. Hopefully you 2 go out into the world and just do wonderful and amazing things despite the secondhand embarrassment that was delivered to you on a day that you'll never get back. A day that was supposed to be truly about celebrating your success, and now you got to share it with 2 others because some bitch ass parent got upset and wanted to complain.